In August 1963, a Royal Mail train sped through the English countryside, carrying sacks of used banknotes destined for the incinerator. By the time it reached its destination, £2.6 million was gone. In today's money, that's a haul of over $70 million. The robbers seized the fortune without firing a single shot, leaving the public to imagine a group of calculated, non-violent professionals. A crew of 15 men had carried out a military-grade operation and vanished into the night, leaving the global press to wonder how such a heist was even possible. Detectives didn't break the case through a high-speed chase or a lucky tip-off. They found their first lead on the surface of a Monopoly board left behind in a nearby farmhouse. The gang had calculated the mechanics of the theft to the second. They were about to find out that the human element is much harder to control. Bruce Reynolds, an antique dealer with a long criminal record, spent months planning the job. He had an inside lead, an informant known as the Ulsterman, who confirmed that a bank holiday weekend would leave the train overflowing with cash. Reynolds' crew took their positions at Sears Crossing in Buckinghamshire. It was 3 a.m. and the train was exactly on schedule. To stop the train, they hijacked the signals. They covered the green light with a glove and used a battery to illuminate the red bulb. As it halted, the crew found the phone line severed. The robbers then uncoupled the high-value cars. They forced the driver to move those two cars a mile down the track to Bridego Bridge. Below, a team of men waited with trucks, forming a human chain that emptied 120 mailbags in just 20 minutes. The operation was an exercise in technical precision. Every physical obstacle was accounted for and neutralized. The gang retreated to their hideout at Leatherslade Farm, less than 30 miles from the crime scene. With the money in hand, their discipline vanished. They spent their time splitting the loot, monitoring police scanners, and passing the hours playing Monopoly with the stolen banknotes. Their confidence turned to panic when the radio reported that police were searching every building within a 30-mile radius. They fled the farm in a hurry, paying an associate a massive sum to burn the house down and destroy any fingerprints or DNA they'd left behind. But the associate took the money and never struck a match. He walked away, leaving the evidence completely intact. When police arrived 5 days later, they found a house filled with supplies, trash, and the board game they'd played to celebrate their success. It was covered in clear, identifiable fingerprints. By leaving the safe house standing, the crew had essentially handed the police a roadmap to their own arrests. The fingerprints led to a series of rapid arrests. Most of the gang were quickly rounded up and handed 30-year prison sentences. Ronnie Biggs became the most famous outlier. Just 15 months into his sentence, he escaped Wandsworth Prison using a rope ladder and fled the country. Biggs spent over 30 years living as a fugitive in Brazil, often appearing in the media to mock the British authorities, who were powerless to extradite him. While some men were caught, the money mostly wasn't. Of the £2.6 million stolen, the vast majority disappeared into the criminal underground and remains unrecovered. But the story of the gentleman's heist falls apart when you look at Jack Mills. The train driver was beaten with an iron bar during the initial takeover of the cab. Mills never fully recovered from those head injuries and died a few years later, a fact that complicates the public's fascination with the robbery. The heist is still remembered for its clever engineering, but the reality of the crime is much messier. In the end, the same greed and carelessness that made the robbery possible also ensured that it would eventually fall apart.